Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Quite often I come across people asking, why in the Omnissiah's name would anyone ever join Chaos? I mean, look at this. Or this. Or what the hell is this even? But when I see these guys, my first instinct also wouldn't be, hey, where can I sign up for this? Rather, my first instinct would be, better described as the salamander method. The issue, however, is that we treat joining Chaos as if it's similar to signing up for the Boy Scouts. Sure, the drug-addicted, bloodthirsty, rotting scouts with tentacles for arms, but nonetheless we act as if it's very much like a conscious decision. In reality, however, people in 40k don't really join Chaos, but rather fall to Chaos, which is a pretty big difference. I mean, for starters, the people in 40k don't have all the information that we have about Chaos. When you are being seduced by a demonette, or tempted by a Lord of Change, they don't start off by showing you horrible tentacle monsters first. You only really get that information when it's too late to go back. Often what you see in the lore is that characters start to go down a slippery road, of which the first steps seem quite understandable or even tempting. So with that in mind, let's take a look at how you end up as a pawn for every one of the big four. Let's start off with Nash, as I believe she is by far the easiest to understand. Have you ever woken up after a night out, absolutely wasted with no memories of what happened? Have you ever been so fixated on a project that you accidentally continue working on it till 5 in the morning? Or have you ever kept on training to the point of injury? If you answered yes to any of these, then She Who Thirsts might be your guy. Slaanesh is the god of excess and obsession, whose greatest enemy is moderation. You might look at a Slaaneshi cultist and be disgusted by our depraved state. You may find yourself thinking that surely you could never sink this deep, but in order to understand how one ends up this way, you must start at the beginning. Let's say that you want to be a pro gamer. I mean, come on, who hasn't been through that phase as a teenager? Nope, just me? Okay, let's move on. Anyway, you want to be the best, so every day when you get home from school, you boot up your PC and try to improve. Maybe you start reading some guides during your lunch break, or you start browsing the subreddit to look for all the latest tips and tricks. But with every loss, you become more and more focused on improvement. You aren't ranking up fast enough, but surely you could beat them next time if you just train a little bit harder. With every day you are spending more and more time on the game, until all your free time is getting consumed by this one singular goal. Your friends might call you to do something fun, but you tell them you're busy. You might have a test tomorrow, but you aren't looking for a career in academics anyway. Basically, you have become obsessed, and that is when Slaanesh shifts his dark purple gaze towards you. Soon more and more activities get added to the list of trivialities. There's no time to practice maths when you got so much more important things to practice, such as your CS score, and who needs exercise? You got 120 APM, that should be enough exercise. Pretty soon you start cutting into your sleep schedule just to play one more match, and one more, and one more, until you eventually hear the alarm go off in the morning. You find yourself unable to focus at times, unsurprising as you're only eating once a day and sleep 4 hours a night. Desperate for a method to keep going, you get a Discord message by cute hentai waifu 69, who offers to sell you some magical pills to stay focused. They will allow you to remain awake for hours on end and boost your focus to a new level. Greedily you accept and continue pressing yourself ever further. Months later you are doing your best Wolf of Wall Street impression, taking a continuous supply of warp drugs to keep you awake and another dose to knock you back to sleep. You have gotten the body shape of a skeleton and the paleness of a vampire. You no longer talk to anyone outside of the game, and nothing crosses your mind anymore except this one singular goal. At this point, you have joined the degenerates of Slaanesh, becoming just as obsessed as Fabius Bile or Lucius the Eternal. Basically, you got nothing left anymore except your obsession and your trusty companion, cute hentai waifu 69, who is always there to further feed your addiction. People who lean towards Slaanesh have an annoying habit to always crave for more. After every high, they only crave for a greater high, and after making something, they can only look at the ways that it could be improved. Even after an impressive achievement, they can only look up to those who went even further, rather than appreciating all those that they have beaten, a feeling which anyone who has ever been second in a competition will surely be able to recognize. Slaanesh is the goddess who is always present to feed on your every addiction, every obsession, and every competitive drive. He keeps on pushing you to the point of no return, and once you reach it, you might as well keep going, as it's all you have left. Going down the self-destructive path of obsession and indulgence is something most will probably be able to understand. But what about the god that no one can understand? What about good old Tzeentch? Have you ever been tempted by a gamble? Maybe you got a little bit too focused on the rewards and forgot to check what you could lose. Does cryptocurrency ring a bell maybe? Or have you ever tried something too ambitious and found your abilities lacking? like Icarus getting too close to the sun and getting your wings burned. Well, if that's the case, then you're a perfect pawn for the god of change. My best analogy for Tzeentch is gambling. Let's say you're at a casino, and the night is going well. You just won $50, you go again, $100, put it down again, $200. Well, seems like you're invincible tonight. Why not put it all in? And holy moly, you won $1,000, all yours to keep. But what if we kept going? You can blame Tzeentch for this maybe, but all of a sudden you start to think about all your debts, that college loan that is growing by the day, or that car that's on the edge of breaking down. But what if you were to utilize your newfound talent at cards to solve all that? In one night, all your problems could be gone. Hell, instead you could be rich. That holiday that you've always been dreaming of, or that Magnus the Red Primarch model, that could be yours. So fueled by false hope, you go to the ATM, get all your cash, and start the next game. And you lose. Anger, denial, panic, they all flash through your head. It can be gone, you can't have lost. You needed that money. But there's still hope as long as you can just win it back. Fortunately, there's a mysterious two-headed birdman willing to give you a loan so you can continue playing. It might seem a little weird, but you've seen weirder stuff after 3 glasses of tequila. You promise away your house, your car, hell, even your grandma, and the birdman is happy to provide. 3 hours later, the casino closes, and you've lost everything. All your possessions are gone, and you are so far in debt it's almost hilarious. As you sit there crying on the street corner, the birdman comes to collect. You have made a catastrophic mistake, and there's no way to take it back. You are now forever in the clutches of Tzeentch. Or Dagobert Duck, depends on the translation really. This story was about a gambler, but it just as well could have been about a scientist trying to hurriedly invent a cure for a mysterious illness, like, I don't know, the flesh change maybe. Hope, curiosity and hubris are the ideal traits for a potential victim of Tzeentch, which he is all too happy to exploit. Tzeentch is a voice that keeps pushing you little by little until you inevitably end up flying too close to the sun, or wolf in some cases. Regardless, while Tzeentch is always happy to roll the dice, there's another god that instead would rather leave it all as it is. Let me introduce you to Nurgle, the god of stagnation, acceptance, and in other words, giving up. Have you ever gone exercising? Yeah, okay, maybe this isn't the best analogy for a Warhammer video. If you've ever gone running, you will know that the more tired you get, the more a little voice starts to pop in your mind telling you to stop running. You've run far enough for today, you can stop or otherwise just take a little break. That voice, ladies and gentlemen, is Nurgle in a nutshell. Nurgle will promise to take away all the pain or sadness as long as you give in to his repugnant embrace. I'll admit, Nurgle has always been a bit of the odd one out, but I believe the pandemic can work as a half-decent analogy. Not to mention, it's also very much on theme. Many of us started the pandemic motivated. We were told to work together, and after some months we would have a vaccine, and after which the world would return to normal. Hell, for some, including yours truly, working at home even provided a nice break from the daily agony known as commuting via the Dutch train system. But soon, all sorts of shit started to happen. Resources started to run out, infections skyrocketed, and well, people started dying. All of this dealt quite a crippling blow to morale. Not to mention the discovery that symptoms could take months or even years to disappear. The bad morale started to spread even faster than the virus, and soon questions started to arise in people's minds. Like, why should I shower or dress properly? I'm stuck inside anyways. Or why should I put in effort? I'm stuck in my room no matter what I do. Especially after the summer, when the days started getting darker and we were all forced into lockdown again, the general lack of hope and motivation was tangible. It was during those days that we got our own real-life Nurgle cultists. People deciding that it would be better to get rid of the regulations altogether, let the disease spread through society and just accept that there will be casualties. Now keep in mind that the mental state of the people already deteriorated to this level after 1 year of a not very severe crisis. A couple of us were working comfortably from the comfort of our bed, and others would continue as usual as long as they wore a little mask. Additionally, there was a vaccine on their way. Sure, some had it worse than others, but now compare this to 40k, where uncountable billion gazillion trillions are forcefully kept in the unending meat grinder of misery that is the Imperium of Man. There is no hope of salvation, there is and always will only be work, pain and war. When you look at it that way, it's rather surprising that falling to Nurgle hasn't become like the norm on many Imperial planets. However, it should be noted that while the pain might be gone, for many it instead is replaced by bitterness and resentment at those who didn't give up. They act as a mirror of sorts that reflects their failures back at them. Like Jagatai does during Warhawk, they taunt the Nurglites purely with the fact that they were stronger of will as they didn't give up. As a result, their bitterness forces them to inflict the same pain on others, to show the world, but also themselves, that anyone would have done the same thing had they been in their shoes. And hey, guess what? This bitterness causes them to inflict more pain to others, which in turn causes more people to give up and embrace Nurgle, which makes them bitter again, and so on and so forth in a never-ending cycle. Just like his plagues, Nurgle is always there to spread the misery. Anyway, that's why people fall to Nurgle. Or at least, there would have been Nurgle if the world was nice and easy, but instead Games Workshop also attached some weird shit regarding the circle of life and gardening. So if you're a gardener and you want a nice garden, but you also give up halfway through making it, and then proceed to shit on your neighbor's petunias, then Nurgle is the god for you. Well, with the most complex god out of the way, let's continue with the simplest one, corn. So do you have any anger issues? I mean, that's really all corn boils down to. Ever hit a printing device or Coke dispenser? Yup, Inquisitor right there. I don't think I have to spell out an analogy for this one, to be honest. Just turn on the news for 5 minutes or read a history book and you will find that humans become violent surprisingly quick. Wars, bar fights, murders, the list goes on and on and on. Now of course, Korn only truly loves the extremes, the ones that have been pushed a little too far and now lash out in fury. Think Cain killing Abel, or even Jinx ulting the council if you want a more modern example. Korn is the raging beast hidden behind a civilized facade. He is the bloodlust that fuels the pyres of mobs and the spark that sets off the fires of war. Regardless of the conditions, Korn is always there to add that last drop to the bucket, so we can sit back and watch an ensuing battle with a nice bucket of popcorn. Now, I hope this video helped you to get a general idea of why people might end up in Camp Chaos. No one in their right mind would ever join the Chaos Gods, but that's the key. Very few of those who join Chaos are in fact in the right place of mind. The Chaos Gods have set up a net of slippery slopes and are constantly looking to push you down one of them. So unless you want to end up like this guy over here, drink responsible, avoid gambling, never give up, and don't let your emotions get the better of you, because otherwise you might end up like Erebus, and all my homies hate Erebus. Anyway, that was all I got for you today. Have a nice day, and don't forget your daily prayers to the ruinous... Well, actually, maybe just pray to Sigmar or whatever. I don't give a shit.